If you didn't catch the last little broadcast, I'm Mick Amja, or Mick Scarsbuck is my real name, of course. This is Trudie, my lovely wife. We've got a bit stressed up there trying to get this right, and we're going to answer a few. Well, I'm going to answer a few questions. Trudie's going to ask me some questions. I have no idea what she's going to ask me, and I'll try and speak in biraz Türkçe konuşayım. Yeah. Because last time I didn't speak in any Turkish at all, and this will also be available on YouTube later as well. So in slightly better quality, because I'm recording with my favourite camera just to the side. All right. So, do you want to fire away, Lovey?
Well, yeah, I was just making sure but we'll assume that everything's tickety-boo. All right.
Yeah.
This is questions Mick doesn't know what I'm going to ask him, because I just thought that would spoil the fun then of your answers, basically.
Of putting me under pressure to answer the questions, yeah.
So what a lot of people are asking at the moment, obviously we're in Fethiye, Chalish Fethiye. A question people want to know is Fethiye and Chalish out of lockdown?
Well, yeah, it went officially sort of out of lockdown. I think it was the 1st of June, wasn't it? On the 1st of June. But there were still restrictions in place for people who are over 65. Luckily, I'm only 60. And for youngsters under 20, and unless they'd got a job, I think. But those restrictions are slowly been reduced as well. And hopefully in the next week or two, there'll be no restrictions. Only that you have to wear a face mask in public. That's still current. And if you're sitting at a table, you can take your face mask off. But you should be being served by people in restaurants with face masks on. So that's basically the rules at the moment. But we're allowed to travel again. People are allowed to travel into city as well, although I think there's still restrictions on Istanbul, Izmir and one or two others, but we're still sideways on. Oh, God. It's sad, isn't it? I'm so sorry we're sideways on again. Why is it like that?
Look
I don't
at
get
that.
it.
That's just great, isn't it?
It's a great picture, but it's just sideways on. Oh, dear. So... Shall I try and turn it round? Let's try and turn it round. What you say? So what's the second question you're going to ask me? I think I've answered that one.
Did you? Well, yeah. The other one was what are the current guidelines to follow out of lockdown? So what current guidelines do we have to follow out of the lockdown here in Fethiye? Because obviously the virus is going to be with us for quite some time unless they can find a vaccine. So it's kind of learning to live with the virus. Now we're upside down. It's kind of learning to live with the virus at the moment, and obviously because Fethiye and Chalish rely heavily on tourism, they're trying to get that back to normal.
Where's that?
While living with the virus.
Is that
yes, that's giving us we're the right way up. We're just sort of kind of squashed in.
Oh, that's terrible, though, isn't it?
Oh, it's okay. You can be loved up to me. Come on.
Bring it right back here then. So.
Yeah. So obviously these guidelines that have been brought in place to continue to obviously keep the numbers low. Fethiye and Chalish, we've had extremely low numbers, and so obviously we just hope that everybody doesn't get complacent and follows the guidelines, so that as tourism starts to come back in, then numbers will remain low.
Well, we don't know when tourism's going to be allowed back in. Obviously, I did do a film about this. If you haven't seen it, look up on Mick Amja, or it's on YouTube actually, but the link is on Mick Amja and Mick Scarsbuck. And this is that Fethiye and Chalish are now open for business, basically. But there's been there's still these rules in place.
Just what's the current guidelines? I don't think I covered the current guidelines. That was the question. The current guidelines. What are the current guidelines?
Supposed to keep 1.5 meters away from each other and masks on.
Not from me. because we're from
No,
the same
that's
household.
right.
So
But the beaches are open. All the beaches are open, but you're supposed to stay in your personal groups and not go between groups. There are the parks are all open again.
it's basically
There is something that we disagreed with, which was the wearing of gloves for people who are in the restaurants and that. Because if you're wearing a pair of gloves and you serve somebody, Trudie being a nurse before, she knows the protocol that once you've served somebody, you should really change your gloves. But if you're not washing your gloves, or it'd be better off not having gloves on, in other words, and washing your hands every time.
Hang on a minute. Let's explain.
You explain.
The protocol at the moment for restaurants. So when you go into a restaurant, obviously everyone is supposed to wear a face mask when you're out and about, especially in public places like shops and restaurants. But when you go into a restaurant, there's sanitizers that you use for your hands.
There should be.
You sit down, and then once you're sat at your table within your group, your household, you can take your mask off. Obviously, if you get up from the table, you should put your mask back on. The waiters should all be wearing their masks all the time when they serve you, and obviously there are some restaurants that have waiters wearing gloves.
I think they've been told to wear gloves though by the government.
Yeah,
it's
and
government protocol.
So that was just a question that we were asking, because if you're not changing your gloves regularly, then I'm not sure that's good practice. But
cross-contamination can occur.
So far, they have got everything right, and at least they've got circles in the parks, so that you know that your family can
sit
stay
in the circle
safely in your segregated
Although Trudie
circle.
sat in a circle the other day and got an infestation of ants crawling all over her, which didn't go down very well, did it, lovely?
No, that was the first time we've been out and we sat in a circle.
That's right.
But it's nice to see everybody is starting to go out and about again, and it is nice. It's just so sad that there's no tourists here, and obviously the restaurants and the hotels are feeling it. So.
And I did say in my last film that Fethiye and Chalish are pretty much open, but we went to ride down on the motorbikes yesterday to Oludeniz, and we went through Hisaranu.
Should we take your hat off?
Well, I take my hat off. I take my hat off to all the Turkish people that have abided by all the rules, and because of that, out of the people that have been ill, only 3% death rate in Turkey, whereas in the UK, I think it's around 13%. So you're doing something right. So I do take my hat off. That's it.
They're doing
now
really
you can all see my grey hair.
Yeah.
Now, what was I going to say about Oludeniz? We went through Oludeniz on the motorbikes, on the motorbike, my old DT 125, and none of the hotels are open there, really. There are a few bars on the front, and there's quite a few people on the beaches, but apart from that, it's not open.
It's quite sad, because for those of you that love going to Oludeniz and you feel that you're not missing out on anything, because it was actually quite sad. It was like going through Oludeniz at winter time.
Yeah, it is like,
because obviously they too rely on tourism, but there's not so many residential.
There's no
people,
residents in that area.
That's why it's still obviously closed, because it's just not worth them opening.
But the beaches are lovely, and the beach they've got all the chairs out, the sunbeds and that out now in Oludeniz as well, and so the beach is lovely, and there are a couple of agencies are doing the boat trips as well over to Butterfly Valley, so that part is open. The beach area is open, but unfortunately none of the hotels are open, so none of the shops are open in the back streets or restaurants.
We have fun. We went round on Mick's motorbike.
Yeah.
And had a little zoom round, so that was fun. So we filmed it as well. So
and we did actually go through on the way back. We went through Hisaranu, but before we got to Hisaranu, we spotted something, didn't we? Do you remember on the road up?
Did we?
Yeah, they're doing a teleferic. Like a what do you call a teleferic in
cable car?
The cable car. I call it teleferic because I worked in the French Alps, but they're doing a cable car now from on the steep road going up from Oludeniz and just before you get to Hisaranu, there's a base station being built now, but they've already got all the stanchions in for the cables going right up to the top of the mountain where you can fly from. So they'll be able to pull in buses, and there'll be a bus that just stops there. I'm sure the normal local Fethiye bus will stop there. And so that, I don't know when that's totally going to be finished. They reckon it's going to be finished by the end of the season, but we'll see how it goes. Obviously the lockdown has had an effect on that, but I don't think they stopped working on it, so it's actually been a good thing. And Hisaranu, again, that looks pretty well closed up, but because there's people who live in the area, Overjuk, there's quite a few residents there, expats and Turks. There are bars and restaurants open in some of the streets, and like I said in my film Fethiye in the winter, all you gotta do is look at the forums for Hisaranu and Overjuk, and you'll see what's open. But yeah, we're all waiting for the main tourism to come in, and with the hotels being open. And what was the flight situation? The flights are...
I don't know, they're slowly being reintroduced, and they've I think they've opened up to 6 countries, but I can't... Yeah, there's 6 European countries. Obviously, UK is not one of those at the moment.
Not yet.
At the moment, but yeah, things are starting. Domestic tourism has opened up within Turkey slowly. So yeah, that's another reason why we need to obviously observe the guidelines the government put in place. Can I just say that
you can say what you like.
although I can't read the comments, or we can't read the comments at the moment, after this we do look through all your comments and your little ticks and likes.
And
so
did I say on the first version, this will be broadcast on YouTube as well, on Mick Scarsbrook.
There was a question here someone had about the flights, but we've just answered that.
Yeah,
so
go on then.
Shall we let me just
go to another question.
Let me just go to the questions, a bit more personal questions that we've got here.
Personal questions?
Because that's my fun bit.
I don't like the personal.
Someone's asking, do you get recognised in public from your films?
Yeah, well, I do, obviously, and it sometimes drives Trudie potty, because
It doesn't.
when we're in a restaurant, they come over and they say, "Oh, are you Mick Amjo or Mick Scarsbrook?" And I say, "Yeah," and they want a photo with me, and it's amazing. But it's mostly in this area, in Fethiye, because I think a lot of it's to do with the tourism films which I've done, and most Turks know me from my rubbish films, from the about the chirp and all the throwing the rubbish in the streets and in the lovely places in Turkey. And I did a film about 3 years ago, I think it was, which went viral. So most Turkish people know me from that film. But
Mick loves the don't be afraid to say hello, because
I love it.
Loves it.
Yeah.
So it gives his ego a little
buzz.
Yeah.
All right, ask me another question. I feel naked without my hat on.
Do you know? So, okay, someone's saying, what's your next film going to be about?
Well, I've actually got 2 or 3 films on the go, because what I tend to do is I start a film, and then if I'm short of some clips, I'll put that to one side and I'll start another film, and then I'll go out and do the clips in between. So I have actually started a film about, should I say the town that's outside Fethiye? There's a town just outside Fethiye, which I love. It's on the main road, and you can get absolutely everything in this one street. And it just reminds me of Fethiye 30 years ago. And the back streets of Fethiye now, the one back street, it's mostly restaurants and posh shops, as I call it, and banks. But it used to be like this little town, I might as well say it. It's called Günlükbaşı. And I love Günlükbaşı, and we often go there and it's shopping. And things are cheaper in Günlükbaşı as well. So I'm doing a film about Günlükbaşı, and I'm also talking to a few of the local people on it. So that's one film. And another place which is not far from there, which is near to Chalish Market, and I mentioned this place in my film Fethiye in the wintertime, is Foça, the Foça Mahallesi. Now, Fethiye Mahallesi is become like a really popular street which goes past the market, and there's so many restaurants and bars, not bars, but restaurants, shops. There's a bicycle shop, and it's really becoming a popular place. And it's about a 15-minute walk from Chalish Beach, from the actual beach. So if you go to the market area, you'll see this one big street. And it starts with Migros, doesn't it? And it finishes at a fish restaurant at the other end of the street. But they're great places, just amazing. And it's nice to see that they're getting popular. I remember these places 30 years ago when this was just a swamp, and there was a hotel called the Akent Hotel, which it was just in its own gardens. And yeah, that's all gone now.
That was nice. We went somewhere, didn't we, for a cup of coffee yesterday, and we spoke to the owners.
Yeah.
And they brought out the old photographs.
That was who's saying.
What it was like.
Who's saying from the
Garden.
Secret Garden?
Yeah.
Secret Garden
So
restaurant.
that was really interesting to see those old photos.
He remembers all that street, and well, it wasn't really a street; it was a dust track. So yeah, things have changed, but I think they've changed for the better.
So.
Don't you?
You're waffling.
I'm waffling.
What was the answer to that question?
I don't know. What was the question? Go on. Oh yeah, no, there wasn't a thing I was going to mention. The question was, what films am I doing?
Yes.
I am also doing a wildlife film, and I was out this morning. A few people saw me actually and said hello. I was out this morning because I found a place where there's some dice snake. And I was filming the dice snake, and I go down there most mornings now. It's near Chalish Beach, near to the Green Bridge. And I saw the snakes again this morning, and I've been trying to get some really good clips for my 5th wildlife film, because I've done Fethiye in wildlife, the reptiles and
Don't be put off by snakes.
I love the snakes.
You don't see them really.
I studied snakes for years.
Mick goes looking for them.
I studied snakes for years, and I've been bitten by snakes as well here. And I know most of the types of snakes. And there's not that many snakes in this area, Fethiye region, because anywhere that's really populated, you just don't get snakes. But there are up in the villages, and if you're up walking on the Lyceum Way and stuff like that. So it's nice to know what you're going to come across. So that's why I'm trying to put some of the snakes into my next film. But we'll see. Okay. Oh no, there was one other thing I wanted to mention. What I'm doing with all my films, I've found a fantastic company. I've written it down here called Rev.
That was my next question.
Oh, was it? Well, that's good.
Because I know what you're going to say. Yeah. But carry on.
Okay. Well, lots of people have asked me about my Turkish subtitles, because they've been automatically generated by Google, and of course it can't really translate some of the things I say, especially with my, sort of Brummy accent I've got, slightly Tamworthian accent, I should say. So what I've done is I've found a company called Rev, R-E-V, and you show them your films on YouTube, and you send them the link, and they do the. I'm not getting paid for that.
No, I don't know what.
They do the subtitle in different languages. Obviously, you pay them, but it's not that expensive, and they upload it straight to your YouTube channel, which is great. And I looked at one this morning which I'd had done, and it's pretty good, better than I could do it in my broken Turkish. So yeah, so artık Türkçe altyazılı bütün filmlerimde olacak. There you go.
Super. Oh, this is a good question.
This is a frightening one, is it? Go on.
Have you ever got into trouble flying your drone?
Oh dear.
You don't have to answer that question if you don't want to.
Yes, I have. Yeah. But I'm actually taking a drone course this.
Well, no, hang on. Have you ever got into trouble flying? When did you get into trouble flying your drone?
Yeah. Well, I got pulled over, and they were going to take my drone off me at Kaya Köy in Kaya village, because there was some gendarme there, and also the bekçi, the guy who looks after the place. And I was trying to do a clip for my film, I just want to clip. It's 7:00 in the morning as well. I wasn't expecting anyone to be there. So I usually fly my drone early in the morning, because you're not really allowed to fly drones in Turkey. It's forbidden. But I'm trying to get my license, and as a foreigner, it will be a first because I don't know any other foreigners that have got a drone license here. So I'm taking a course in a week's time.
You didn't have to say that. Now everybody's going to comment in saying, "Oh, God, you're good." Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Perhaps you ought to edit that.
Yeah, I might edit that bit out. Yeah.
There, our next one. Have you ever crashed your drone?
Oh God, yeah. If you don't crash your drone, you're not using it properly. That's my theory. Yeah, because drones are to be taken to the limit, so that you can get the unusual shots. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a drone flyer. I'm a camera guy. It's actually the video shot that I'm looking for. So when I fly my drone around, I'm using it as a camera and I'm moving it around. I don't always fly it high in the sky. Sometimes I just use it like low down, make it go round me or round an object. So yeah, sometimes I'm looking at the video or trying to walk away and the drone's supposed to follow me and it doesn't, and it hits something. So there was one time when I actually it was returning home, because they're clever, these drones, they'll come home on their own.
Tell them about the one.
That's what I'm going to tell them. Yeah. I was filming the Fethiye football ground with the big lights, and I'd got it to return home. I'd lost the signal, so it returns home on its own. And unfortunately, it returns home at 50 metres high. And the lights, which are looking at the football ground, are actually 55 metres high. So my drone got stuck in the light.
Yeah, so it's big,
Yeah. And this was early in the morning, and it was quite funny because it was still spinning round, but it was stuck on the floodlight, and it was spinning round making a noise, and there weren't nobody about, so I actually climbed up the light right to the top, and these lights, they shake a bit as well.
I wasn't there at this time. I was having a quiet coffee on Fethiye.
But I got my drone back, and it was fine. So.
Yeah, you phoned me in a bit of a hot sweat.
Yeah, I was. It was so tiring to climb. It's so high, and to climb up a ladder with a metal thing around you. You don't look down, obviously. Although I do climbing, so it's not too much of a problem. But there was some young lads there that were starting to play football, and they were just getting ready, and they actually helped me with my drone, get my drone down. So they might remember that. Anyway.
Well, don't crash too many drones because they're expensive.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Here's a funny one.
Aren't the others funny then?
Wow. Which barbers do you go to?
Barbers. Before I met Trudie, I used to have curly hair. It was quite a bit gingery brown, if you like. And I always cut my hair myself from when I was about 14, 15 years old. I've always done it myself in the mirror. And then Trudie was horrified when she saw that. And so when we met, she started cutting it. So
horrified. I just
Trudie's
thought I might
my
be able
barber.
to do a bit of a better job. So.
Yeah, but since I've met Trudie, I've gone totally grey. I don't know why.
Nothing to do with me.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I wear a hat.
Would you like your hat back?
Yeah, and the other thing is, the other reason I wear a hat, of course, is because of the sun. And I did actually have a little thing removed off my nose because the sun here in Turkey, if you don't wear suntan lotion, you're going to get problems, And either suntan lotion or a hat, and for me, the hat is better. I don't like suntan lotion much. So there you go. Anything else?
No.
Is that it for today?
Well, I'll look at the comments, and any other questions that we've got, I will put them onto next ones. But
okay.
If anybody's got any tips or recommendations of how we can get our thing the right way out.
Get the phone the right way round so that it records sideways, instead of...
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Never mind.
And we even looked that up this morning. Anyway...
Shall I turn you off in a minute?
Yeah, you can go around and turn me off. I was just going to say, thanks for watching us. Yeah, like Trudie said, any comments you've got, throw them in and we'll have a look and try and answer them for you. And follow me on Mick Amja. Give me a thumbs up as well. And go to, if you want to watch this on YouTube, it'll be in full HD or even 4K. It'll be on later this evening, so... And subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then you'll see all my films, because all my films are on YouTube now. Okay, thanks for watching.
I don't know how to cut it off.
It says finish at the bottom.